I have a question for you. Why in the world do you want to be a tree farmer? Why would anyone in their right mind invest the time and the money to clear the land, plant seedlings, and then commit the next 2 to 5 generations of your family to finish what you started? Along the way, you face the risks of fire, insects and disease, changing laws and regulations, a changing tax system, and most importantly, changes in society and in our own families. Now, why spend your time, your talent, and your treasure on something that you won't live long enough to see completed? You have to go clear back to the Middle Ages to find something that is even comparable to what we do. In building the medieval churches, multiple generations of craftsmen would work on the church, father to son, until the church was completed generations later. Now, nationwide, we're seeing many families deciding that this is no longer worth their time and their effort. We're currently seeing almost 2 million acres of forest land annually being converted to other uses. I believe that we're only seeing the leading edge of a tidal wave that's yet to come. In Oregon, 1/5 of our forest landowners are 75 years of age or older. Nationally, about 1/3 of the forest landowners are past retirement age, with another quarter of those owners being between the ages of 55 and 65. These folks own over 2/3 of the private forest land in America. Almost all of this land will change hands in the next 15 years. Is the next generation ready to continue this legacy? Will we have a small woodland owner community 15 years from now? Should anyone care? Let's think about this for a minute. We basically have 5 classes of timber owners here in the United States. We've got the federal and state governments, the large industrial timber companies, professional investors, the Indian tribes, and the private family owners. Now, what are the management philosophies and time horizons for each of these owner groups? The federal government, well, they currently have a Zen management philosophy with the hope that Mother Nature will return these forests to their natural pre-colonization conditions. What is the real time horizon that the federal forests are managed on? It's 4 years. Okay, 8 if the guy gets reelected. But the federal government owns about 29% of the forest land, most of that in the western United States. How about the state and local governments? Now, they want to harvest to provide revenues for the schools and counties, but they're also facing lawsuits and legislative action to tie up these forests in the same way that our federal forests are. Again, their timeline is political, based on changes in governors and legislators. They own about 7% of the forest land nationally. Corporate timber companies, they mostly manage their land for maximum fiber production. Their time horizon, 3 months, the next quarterly earnings report. Real long-range planning and corporate environment is 5 to 7 years. Combined with the investors and the tribes, they own about 21% of the forest land here in the United States. How about the professional investors? These are the pension funds and the land speculators who are looking to return the maximum value to their investors. They're not usually involved with the land, and they view these properties simply as financial assets in their portfolios. Their timeline is usually 5 years or less, and they're a growing group in this 21% that's owned by the business interests. The Indian tribes, the tribes are actively managing their lands for a range of values, including timber production, and they generally have long-range, multi-generational views of their lands that are tied to their culture and their religion. and they own a couple percent. That leaves us with the private family owners. We own 42% of the forest land in the United States. Nationally, there are over 10 million forest land owners, with a little over 4 million of those owners owning 10 acres or more. In this group, there are millions of different management philosophies based on each family's values, their resources, their training, and of course their land. The top 5 reasons these folks list for owning their property are aesthetics, family legacy, nature protection, hunting and fishing, and recreation. Now, timber production makes the top 10, but not the top 5. Because of this wide range of management objectives and goals, we provide on our lands the majority of the nation's biological diversity, wildlife habitat, and water protection. While providing these societal values, we're also providing the majority of the nation's timber supply. We would be missed if we disappeared from the scene. Now, can families think and plan intergenerationally? Other than the tribes, we are the only landowner class that can realistically work with the time frames that forestry demands. I have many clients who have century farms that are in their 4th, 5th, and even 6th generation of ownership. We have family friends in Europe that have owned their land for 1,100 years. Their land has passed from generation to generation with a consistent management ethic and values. Their management plan goes 400 years into the future. Can families do this? Sure we can, but it's not easy, and it doesn't happen without a plan. Now, how many people here have a written management plan for their land? Many of you do. How many of you have a written, realistic management plan for your families? Not nearly as many. Now, what is harder? Growing a rotation of timber, or keeping your values alive, keeping your family intact, and keeping them engaged with the management of your property over the next 6 generations? Again, I ask you, why are you a tree farmer?
You push it and turn it.
I can tell you why I am. I'm a tree farmer because my family and I fell hopelessly in love with a piece of ground. And we are passionate about leaving it better than we found it. It isn't primarily about money or economics. It's about passion and vision. We're building our own particular kind of cathedral, stone by living stone, passing the work from generation to generation. You know, it's an incredible privilege to be a tree farmer. It's a privilege that only about 1% of our fellow citizens have the opportunity to share. What we do is countercultural. Think about it. I don't profit from my own work. The work I do, the investments that I make, are for the benefit of those who come after me. On the other hand, I am profiting from the work that those who went before me did. My children and my children's children will still be working on the projects that I started long after I'm gone. My family and I don't view our tree farm as a financial asset in our portfolio. We view it as an heirloom, a treasure, a pearl beyond price. It gives us an identity. It's part of who we are. It gives us an excuse to continue being a family. In fact, over the last decade, we've become more than just a family. we've become partners. Partners in a shared adventure, discoverers of a pearl of great price. My dad was a dreamer and a builder. He grew up on a farm, and he always told us two things. Number one, the secret to success was that after everyone had gone home for the day, hoe one more row. You work harder than everybody else, you'll get ahead. The second thing he taught us was to not be afraid to dream and to work to bring your dreams about. That you got 75% of your enjoyment from working toward your dream. So even if they didn't all come true, you still had 75% of the fun. Now, Mom and Dad had 5 children in 6 years. I'm the oldest, and 15 years ago, my brothers and sisters and I were scattered to the 4 corners of the globe. The closest one lived 3,000 miles away from home. How many of you can identify with that? We live in a mobile society now. At 18, we each moved out, went off to college, and really never looked back. I'd been away for 10 years, and had slowly realized that no matter where I lived, that there was a place outside of Scioto, Oregon, that was my home. Always talked about, let's go home for Thanksgiving, let's go home for Christmas, let's go home to visit. It was my home. At the same time, my dad was wondering what to do with the ranch, since none of us seemed to be interested in keeping it going. So my wife and I decided to pull up stakes in Indiana and move back west to Oregon to raise our family. Dad and I started talking about how to engage our family's hearts and minds with the property. Most parents, mine included, at some point ask the question, why aren't the kids interested in the property? Now there's a simple answer to that. The good kids, the ones you want to have, would rather have you than the property. It's like telling your kids, someday this house will be yours. And then next week they show up and start measuring for drapes. It's disloyal. If you own it, they have to wait until you're gone before they can start to think and act like owners. We decided to create a family limited partnership to own our ranch, and then we transferred a small partnership interest to each of the kids. The impact of this was immediate. We were now all partners, and we started expecting people to participate as owners. We started having family meetings where we began to train them in the basics of our business, involve them in our decisions, in our decision-making process, and to share our passion and our love and our vision for what we saw this property becoming over time. Now, when you leave your property to your children at death, you are creating a partnership. Now, think about this. You're putting your kids in a situation by leaving them as joint owners of this property. You're putting them in a situation where they've never worked together as adults, much less as business partners. They can't agree on who should be in charge. They don't know anything about the business. They don't even know if they want to be in the business. And you're not around anymore to referee the fights. And you thought you were doing them a favor. By writing up a partnership agreement, laying down the rules, and involving your children now, you can help them to get to know each other and learn how to work together. You're also letting them put down an emotional marker on the property today without being disloyal to you. Now, we all face 2 major challenges in passing on our property. The first one is getting the next generation's hearts and minds engaged in what we're doing. And the second one is building an intergenerational ownership and management structure for your tree farm. Now, what are some practical things that you can do to meet these challenges? First one, sit down with your spouse and write down your goals for the property and for the family. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you to keep the property intact and in the family? A recent study in Oregon showed that over half the forest landowners would not consider selling their property under any circumstances. The operative phrase was, "over my dead body." Now, this is the parents. Do you think the kids had the same feeling? But if this is this important to you, you need to write it down. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10, being 1, this is just a financial asset in my portfolio. 10, this is a priceless heirloom that has value beyond price. Where are you in this? 1 to 10. Where is your spouse in this? 1 to 10. When we first started, my dad was a 10, maybe a 12. Okay? I was a 7 or 8. Most of my brothers and sisters went from about 2 to 5. Okay? That's just where we were. And that's where your family's going to be also. Over the next 10 years, as we worked on this process, we all became 10s together. The flip side of this question is, how important is it to you to give your kids money when you die? Now, we want to be fair with our children and help them all that we can. But I can tell you with years of experience that giving money to kids is rarely helpful, and in many times it causes them more harm than good. Secondly, discuss your written goals with your children. Get their feedback. Is anyone in the family interested? Have they already mentally spent the money? I had a family client where the father had passed away and mom was not very talkative. At family gatherings, the kids and the in-laws would sit around the kitchen table talking about what they were going to do with the money once mom was gone and they sold the Century family farm. Now, mom may not have talked very much, but she did listen. And the kids were really surprised when she died and they found out that the farm was put inside a very restrictive agreement that did not allow them to sell that. That was a very fun family meeting. I was there. It wasn't pretty. So talk about this with your kids beforehand. Find out where they're at. The third thing, once you get those two done, you decide you want to go forward, create a family limited partnership or a limited liability company to own the property, and then start to share the ownership with your kids. Discuss whether or not spouses should be partners. Usually they're not. We have a 50% divorce rate today. And in addition, what happens when your child dies and the spouse remarries? In either case, ownership can pass out of the bloodline, or the family has to buy back the interest. On the other side, sometimes the spouses are the ones who are really interested in the tree farm. Maybe you like the spouses more than you like your own kids. That happens a lot too. This is an important decision, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. Another decision, do all the kids want to be partners? Is it okay to leave someone out? Partnerships are hard work. The people in the partnership need to be committed to what they're doing, or they'll fail. Should all your kids be partners? There are good reasons to leave kids out. Special needs, inability to get along with others, incompatible goals, and so on. So this is a discussion that needs to occur. Fourth, start having family meetings, at least annually, to discuss the business, train your children, and most importantly, share your passion and your vision for the property. This is a critical element. If the family partnership is the car, The family meeting is the gas that makes the car go. The more time that you spend together working on this, the better chance you're going to have for this continuing throughout the generations. Think of it as a rock rolling down a hill. The bigger the rock, the longer the hill, the faster it goes, the more momentum gets built up, and the further it's going to carry on once you're gone. Fifth thing, create recreational opportunities on the property for the family. If owning your tree farm just means getting an occasional check, it won't survive. Your kids and your grandkids' hearts have to be engaged with the property. The easiest way to do this is through recreation. Take your favorite spot and build a campsite. Set up hiking and riding trails, orienteering courses, archery, rifle, paintball ranges. If you've got water, get something going with fishing. Set up areas for hunting. If your zoning laws will allow it, build cabins for people to come and vacation in. Involve the kids and the grandkids in forestry activities. Measuring growth plots, planting trees. Give tours on your property and get your kids and grandkids involved in hosting the tours. Seeing your property through the eyes of someone else is a great motivator. I know it helps me. One of the patriarchs of a fifth-generation tree farm told me that the best fertilizer for the land are the footsteps of the owners. You just have to get out and walk around on the place. Your kids and your grandkids also have to get out and walk around on the place. Get them out on the property and help them to see it the same way that you do. Finally, you need to create a governance structure for your business that will survive your passing. You need to begin grooming a successor to manage the property. Just because your kids may have worked on the farm doesn't mean that they know anything about the business of running the farm. You have to teach them. There's a lot of knowledge between your ears that needs to get passed down to your kids so that they can be successful in this enterprise. Also, even though I was the oldest in my family, I was not the natural leader of my family. Dad and I worked together to help me gain the respect that I needed from my brothers and sisters as his successor. This does not happen automatically. We started our partnership 12 years ago. The first 5 or 6 years, our family meetings consisted of Dad and I talking to the family about the business, about our vision, and our passion for the property. As each year passed, they understood more and they were able to participate more. After each family meeting, we hire babysitters and we take the partners and spouses out to dinner at a restaurant. We'll get a private room and we'll go around the table letting each person share what's happening in their life, what challenges they face, and what achievements they've accomplished since the last time we got together. This has really helped us get to know each other as adults, since none of us live close to each other anymore. During the National Tree Farm Convention in Asheville 2 years ago, we had our best family meeting yet. We decided to bring all 7 of us to the meeting, leaving our spouses and our children behind. My brothers and sisters led this meeting, talking about their ideas for the property and their hopes for our family over the next 50 years. And concrete steps that they wanted us to take to get from here to there. On the way home from the meeting and in the days that followed, Mom, Dad, and I had several meetings where we talked about these plans. A few weeks after the convention, we were honored again by the Oregon Tree Farm System at their annual meeting. That night, Dad died suddenly and unexpectedly of a massive heart attack. He was 66 years old. I'm now the ranch manager, and I'm continuing the work that he started 40 years ago. Now, it's been almost 2 years since his passing. And what has changed? Our family is stronger than ever. Our partnership is flourishing. It's growing. You see, over the last 12 years, we grew to share a passion and a love for each other and a common dream for this piece of ground that we've been entrusted with. It didn't depend on Dad anymore to make it happen. I can tell you with 100% certainty that if we hadn't started when we did, when my dad was at the top of his career, the busiest time of his life, that our property would be a statistic today, and our family would be scattered to the four winds. Now, what will the future bring for us? I don't know. But I do know that we're working hard to make our dreams come true, and we're having a lot of fun in the process. Now, what would happen to your tree farm if you didn't wake up tomorrow? Who would step forward to continue your work? Would that person be supported by the rest of the family? Or would there be pressure to sell the property? Have you shared why you're a tree farmer with your children? Are their hearts engaged? Do they see the tree farm as a treasured family heirloom or as a burden, a financial asset to be disposed of quickly? Is money toxic to any of your children? Are they ready to take up the challenge of being a tree farm family? Don't be part of this coming tidal wave. Take up this challenge with your spouse and your children. Start now. Start by discussing and writing down your goals and sharing them with your family. Create a limited partnership or limited liability company and make your kids business partners with you. Have family meetings, at least annually, where you share your love for each other and your passion and your vision for the property. Create recreational opportunities on your property and get your family walking around on it. Groom a successor to manage your property when you're gone. Dare to dream together about your family, about the future, and about the role your tree farm can play in keeping your family together across the generations. Challenge and allow your children to become partners with you and create this legacy together. I'd like to close by sharing a poem written by one of my mentors, Bob Maley. Bob's a retired forester and a regional tree farm winner. He's 92 years young, and he's completely infected with this wonderful passion we call tree farming. The poem's entitled, When You're So Old. My friends often ask of me,
why does an old man plant a tree? It grows so slow it will not pay a profit for you anyway. Then why in storm and winter cold do you plant when you are so old? The answers seem hard to define when muscles ache and they are mine. But I just cannot stand to see a space where there should be a tree. So that in part, as years unfold, is why I plant when I'm so old. I know that animals, bugs, and things love trees, and so do such as go on wings. So creatures wild that benefit is one more reason I can't quit from planting trees while I can hold my planting hoe, though I'm so old. And then there is my family, young folks who will follow me. I'd like to leave them with some land stocked with trees and looking grand. These gifts I value more than gold, so I plant a tree, though I'm so old. And taxes, too, for schools and roads, with jobs and lumber for abodes, I won't see these things, I won't be here, but in my mind it's very clear. The words of some who could be polled might thank a man who is so old. Man should be proud of what's his own and how he's managed what he's grown. But management must be begun by planting seedlings one by one. And so my pride I will uphold, I'll plant a tree though I'm so old.
Work hard toward your dreams. Even if they don't all come true, you'll still have 75% of the fun. Thank you.
I think it's also important to have a dream. We've had lots of dreams here, and it's amazing how many of them have come true. I've always felt that 75% of the enjoyment in accomplishing something is the planning and thinking and preparing for it. And so I do it for a lot of things, and even those that don't come true, I have 75% of the fun.